Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Or if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and the bell, because today we're diving into one of the most fascinating, whispered about topics in human attraction. What attracts women to older men first? And we're not just throwing around cliches, we're going deep into the psychology, backed by real studies, evolutionary science, and a story that will pull you in like a magnet. Imagine this. Elena is 26, smart, ambitious, climbing the corporate ladder in marketing. She's dated guys her age, the ones who ghost after 3 dates, split the bill like it's a negotiation, and still live like they're in college. Tonight, she's at a networking event in a sleek downtown lounge, nursing a martini, feeling that familiar mix of exhaustion and quiet hope. Across the room stands Richard, 52, salt and pepper hair perfectly tousled, a tailored navy suit that fits like it was made for him, and a quiet, unhurried presence that makes the whole room feel a little calmer. He's not flexing, he's not scanning for attention, he's just there, confident, grounded, listening to someone with genuine interest. Their eyes meet for half a second. Elena feels it, a spark she can't name. Not the loud butterflies and stomach rush of a younger guy's charm. Something deeper, safer, more magnetic. What just happened in her brain? Why does this older man trigger something primal and powerful on first glance? That's what we're unpacking today, through Elena's full story, real psychological research, evolutionary truths, and the hidden behaviors that make older men irresistible first. Buckle up, this is going to be a long, juicy ride, because attraction this powerful deserves more than a 10-minute TikTok. Let's step into Elena's world. Chapter 1. The first glance, the silent power of presence and quiet confidence, the spark that starts it all. Elena didn't plan to approach him, she never did that, but something pulled her across the room after the panel discussion ended. Richard was standing by the bar, swirling a glass of aged scotch, chatting with a colleague. What did she notice first? Not his bank account, not his resume, not even his looks, though he was handsome in that distinguished, lived-in way. It was the way he stood, shoulders relaxed but straight, no fidgeting, no checking his phone every 30 seconds. His voice was low, steady, and warm, the kind that cuts through noise without shouting. When he smiled at something his friend said, it reached his eyes. No performative laugh, just real. In that moment, Elena's mind raced with thoughts she couldn't quite articulate. He looks like he's figured life out, like he doesn't need to prove anything. Psychology explained, right here, right now. This is where the attraction begins, before a single word is spoken. Evolutionary psychologists call it status signaling through behavioral cues. Older men who have survived the chaos of youth often radiate what researchers term quiet confidence, a calm self-assurance that screams emotional stability and resource security without saying a word. A 2019 Psychology Today analysis and supporting studies on mate preferences show that women's initial visual and behavioral scan prioritizes cues of competence and low neuroticism. Younger men, still building their identities, often display higher emotional reactivity, scrolling, boasting, seeking validation. Older men, they've learned the power of stillness. Think about it like this. In our ancestral past, a man who made it to 50+ had already proven genetic fitness by outliving threats, building alliances, and accumulating resources. Modern studies echo this. Professor Madeline Fugger, in her work on the social psychology of attraction, notes that cross-culturally, women report an unconscious pull towards men a few years older or significantly older, because those men signal proven survival value. Elena felt it in her body before her mind caught up. Her nervous system relaxed, heart rate steadied. That's the first psychological hook. Older men trigger a sense of safety on sight. Not boredom, safety mixed with intrigue. Richard turned, noticed her lingering glance, and offered a small, knowing nod. No creepy wink, no overeager smile, just acknowledgement. Elena walked over. "Mind if I join you?" she asked, surprising herself. "Not at all," he replied, smooth as the scotch in his glass. "Richard." "Elena." Their conversation started simple, the panel, the rain outside, the terrible coffee at these events, but already the attraction was building on layers most people miss. Transition music swell,
soft, intriguing. Chapter 2. The Allure of Maturity, Why Emotional Stability Feels Like Magic. As they talked, Elena found herself laughing, really laughing, for the first time in months. Richard didn't interrupt, he listened. When she mentioned a stressful project at work, he didn't jump in with bro advice or try to one-up her story. He asked thoughtful questions. What part of that feels heaviest for you? She felt seen, not judged, not sized up. The psychology deep dive. This is maturity in action, and it's one of the top things women cite when explaining attraction to older men. A Your Tango breakdown of attraction triggers lists less emotionally reactive as number 1. Older men have had decades to practice emotional regulation. They don't explode, withdraw, or weaponize silence. They stay present.
Sarah Scantlebury and Darren Fowler's 2016 study of 173 women, 44 in significant age gap relationships, found no evidence of daddy issues driving these choices. Instead, 74% of the women in age gap couples were securely attached, the healthiest attachment style. No difference from women dating peers. The stereotype? Completely unsupported. Elena didn't know the research, but she felt it. Richard's calm created space for her to be vulnerable without fear of drama. Younger guys she dated often turned conversations into competitions or ghosted when things got real. Richard, he leaned in. He shared a brief story from his 30s, a business failure that nearly broke him, but told it with humor and zero self-pity. I learned that failure isn't the end, it's data. Elena hung on every word. That night, as she left the lounge, she couldn't stop thinking about him. Not his age, the way he made her feel, grounded, valued, excited. Side story vignette, to make it real. Meet Priya, 24, a graphic designer in Mumbai. She swiped past hundreds of guys her age until she matched with Arjun, 47, a quiet architect. Their first coffee date, he showed up early, phone away, fully present. When she spilled her fears about career burnout, he didn't fix it. He said, "I've been there. The pressure eases when you remember your worth isn't in the hustle." She felt her shoulders drop for the first time in years. That's maturity's quiet superpower. Chapter 3. Stability and the Evolutionary Pull, Resources, Wisdom, and the Primal Brain. 2 weeks later, Elena and Richard went on their first official date, a quiet Italian restaurant with candlelight and no loud music. Over pasta, he told her about building his consulting firm from nothing. No bragging, just honest reflections on the risks, the late nights, the lessons. Elena felt a strange warmth. This man has his life together. He owned his home outright, traveled meaningfully, knew how to order a perfect wine without showing off. Psychology explained. The evolutionary lens. Here's where science gets fascinating. Evolutionary psychology, from David Buss's cross-cultural studies to modern analyses in evolution and human behavior, shows women are wired to seek partners who can provide resources and protection. In ancestral environments, older men had accumulated status, knowledge, and security. Younger men were still proving themselves. Professor Fuger explains it clearly. Women consider the resources an older man might offer: income, stability, maturity. It's not gold digging, it's survival wiring that still fires today. Men, conversely, prioritize youth and fertility cues. It's a convenient evolutionary match. But it's not just money, it's the proof of competence. Richard's stories showed he could handle life's storms. That triggered Elena's primal brain. This man can build something lasting. Recent 2025 research, including large-scale mate preference studies across 29 countries, confirms women's stated preference for slightly older partners holds strong through their reproductive years, shifting only much later in life. Elena wasn't thinking provider, she was feeling secure, the kind of security that lets attraction bloom without anxiety. Expanded hypothetical, multiple women's voices. Sarah, 29, Chicago. My ex, 31, still asked his parents for rent help. Richard, 54, he fixed my leaky faucet on our third date without being asked. Small, but it signaled he shows up. Aisha, 25, London. Older men don't play games. They've outgrown the apps and ego. They know time is precious. The list from attraction research goes on. Consistency, number 2. Clear intentions, number 6. Small acts of kindness, number 12.
Older men do these naturally because they've learned what works. Chapter 4. Emotional intelligence, the listening, the boundaries, the depth. By their fourth date, Elena was hooked. Richard didn't bombard her with texts. He respected her space, but showed up fully when they were together. When she had a bad day, he listened without trying to solve it immediately. "I'm here," he'd say. Simple, powerful. He set boundaries gently. "I don't do drama. Life's too short. No games, no jealousy, just clarity." Deep psychology. Your Tangos list nails it. Older men communicate boundaries, take accountability, avoid emotional games, and lean into discomfort for growth. They don't confuse vulnerability with weakness, they express it confidently. Brian Collison and Luciana Ponce de Leon's research on perceived inequity shows society often judges these couples harshly, assuming exploitation. But insiders, friends, family, see the reality: mutual respect, affection, authenticity. Elena's friends noticed she was calmer, happier. No weaponized jealousy, no performative masculinity, just balanced connection.
Chapter 5. Wisdom and Life Experience. Stories that light up the soul. Richard's stories weren't flexes, they were wisdom wrapped in experience. A failed marriage in his 30s taught him what real partnership looks like. Travels to remote places taught him perspective. Failures taught resilience. Elena drank it in. Her peers talked about memes and weekend parties. Richard talked about legacy, growth, the beauty in slowing down. Intellectual stimulation, emotional depth. The research tie-in. Studies show women in age-gap relationships often report higher satisfaction from the mentorship and companionship dynamic. It's not transactional, it's enriching. Chapter 6. Debunking the myths, daddy issues, gold diggers, and stereotypes. Let's kill the myths right now. Scantlebury and Fowler's study? No attachment style differences, no daddy issues link. Prejudice exists, Collison's work proves it, but healthy age-gap couples thrive on genuine connection. Elena wasn't broken, she was drawn to someone who matched her maturity level. Women often mature emotionally faster, older men meet them there. Chapter 7. Real-world studies, data, and famous echoes. Cross-cultural data, BUS, 1989 onward, confirms the pattern. Large 2024-2025 studies show preferences evolve, but the core poll remains for many women in their 20s and 30s. Longevity research even shows men with younger partners often live longer, mutual benefit. Chapter 8. The story unfolds, joys, challenges, and the real test. 6 months in, Elena and Richard faced real life, family questions, age jokes, different energy levels. But the foundation, trust, respect, growth, held. They talked openly, grew together. Challenges exist, different life stages, societal stares, but the psychology that drew them first, presence, maturity, stability, carried them through. Multiple mini-stories for depth. The executive who left chaotic dating for a 48-year-old's peace. The artist who found creative inspiration in her older partner's stories. The single mom who felt truly supported for the first time. Conclusion: what this means for you. So what attracts women to older men first? It's not age, it's the embodiment of what women's brains and hearts crave: calm confidence, emotional steadiness, proven wisdom, and the quiet promise of security. If you're an older man watching, lean into your strengths, be present, own your story. If you're a woman, trust the feeling. It's not always daddy issues, sometimes it's just right. If you're younger and wondering why she chose him, develop those traits now. Maturity isn't about age, it's about growth. Elena and Richard are still together today, building a life that defies the stereotypes. Their story isn't unique, it's the psychology of attraction playing out in real time. What do you think? Have you felt this pull? Drop your story in the comments. Like, share, subscribe for more deep dives into love, psychology, and the human heart. Until next time, stay curious, stay open.